and we move to the public forum, and I'd like to invite David Lynch and Kevin Corley to come forward to talk about their awareness campaign. And it looks like enlightening Christchurch from here. My eyesight's not as good as it used to be.
This is also a magic wall that protects rates.
Oh, right, okay. Good, good, excellent. And it fixes the city at the same time?
We've got something to hand out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, Councillors, for this opportunity. My name is David Lynch, and I'm here with my colleague Kevin Corley, the lighting designer. We're here today to officially launch Enlightening Christchurch.
Oh, very good.
Which is simply an awareness campaign to promote and communicate lighting as an important tool for the regeneration or continued regeneration of the CBD of Christchurch. The night appearance of the city is a product of both public and private lighting. Outdoor lighting should reinforce how Christchurch's urban form is seen and promote the appreciation of individual works of architecture, old and new. This is important to ensure the defining elements of the CBD's physical character is legible after dark. Christchurch, like any city, is very different after dark. Well-designed lighting should, as Kevin will speak about shortly, enhance the transformation from day to night, and in doing so it should produce positive changes that enrich people's experiences and enhance their understanding of our CBD. The use of night lighting also is important to orientate people and to help them find their way around the city after dark. Furthermore, it is particularly important as it promotes improvements to road safety, personal security, amenity, and especially for pedestrians. A luminous CBD will reinforce the perception of Christchurch's physical form, and to achieve this, we need to ensure a consistent, attractive and balanced approach to the design of lighting throughout the CBD is pursued. So what is the opportunity? In our view, more could be done to enhance people's experience of Christchurch after dark. To achieve this, we believe there needs to be a better understanding and appreciation from many people regarding the importance and the value of lighting of our buildings, old and new, those in private ownership, council control, Crown-owned, and also those special areas that we refer to as the public realm. We also believe that during this time of change and regeneration, there is transitional opportunities, for example, to creatively light the steel and concrete skeletons of buildings going up in the city under construction. Rather than seeing them as dark masses at night, they could be beautifully lit. And we also believe that new retail now established in the CBD should be encouraged to switch on their window lights and show off the fact that retail has returned to our city. As I've mentioned, Enlightening Christchurch is simply an awareness campaign, and it's to promote and communicate lighting as an important tool for the regeneration of our CBD. Our expectation today is quite simple, and that is the Enlightening Christchurch campaign will be the catalyst that triggers an important opportunity being realised to creatively illuminate Christchurch as a shining light to the rest of the world and to demonstrate what can be achieved in the rebuilding of a city following a devastating earthquake. So how can Christchurch City Council assist and make this happen? Well, we believe the council can influence private outdoor illumination through the development of the planning process. However, we acknowledge a range of communication and collaborations will be necessary to complete the synergies between public and private initiatives. For this reason, we believe the Council will need to consult with other public authorities and key private sector stakeholders, and we have identified a list which I won't run through given the time constraints. The City Councils could also develop a regenerating lighting strategy which would need to be developed in partnership with building and business owners in the CBD that would provide guidance and direction for public and private external lighting throughout the CBD. The strategy would define the issues, identify the objectives and help set priorities for lighting projects. However, the strategy would not restrict what is currently happening with private initiatives being pursued independently. So after 8 years, how does our CB look after dark? I'll now hand over to Kevin Corley, who will present a number of lighting designs, some of which have been recognised here in New Zealand and internationally as outstanding examples of what can be achieved when tasked, as he has been, with lighting iconic and important buildings in Christchurch. This will be followed by a number of images that we believe highlight the opportunities to improve the CBD experience after dark. And finally, we will conclude with our address by presenting an Enlightening Christchurch project which requires the Council's support for having the external floodlights of the Christchurch Cathedral turned back on, and we'll talk more about that shortly. So, over to Kevin.
Thank you, David. So, after having lit some of the world's most famous musicals and since the LED technology was coming in, I had a vision for the city of Christchurch before our event that we were going to make it a welcoming, safe and elegant looking city. And the first place I started, of course, was the Christchurch Tower, so that when visitors arrived to Christchurch, it's the first thing that they'd see, and they'd think, gee, this is a really interesting and exciting city to come to. After our event, of course, the focus changed. And in May 2015, I presented in New York City how to light a broken city. And it was, I have to say, it was very humbling to be in a city that actually had experienced recent events themselves. And they were very sympathetic. So what I was showing them was some of the images that we were going to be lighting in Christchurch and some of the achievements we were going to achieve by actually lighting up some of our heritage buildings. And of course, this was the first one that we started, which I'm sure you've all been familiar with. And the Isaac Theatre Royal needed to be in a state of elegance and have the splendour and elegance of a historic building, but have a specific colour on it that actually made it look magnificent when nothing was actually happening. And then, of course, what you could do is you could change it in any particular colour you wish to, depending on what event was actually coming up. And then, of course, after that, I got approached by Brett Anderson from Christchurch Casino, who actually asked me if we could get people back into Victoria Street and if we could actually do something with the lighting on Victoria Street. So we created this, which I don't know if any of you have seen at night, but I'd encourage you all to get out and have a look because it's absolutely splendid. The thing too about the casino is that that particular building can be changed at any time for any particular event that's actually happening within the city. The interesting thing here, we had a French programmer programming it at the time, and he put the French flag up just to have a wee joke. So, but I thought it actually showed things off really very well. And of course, it's not all just about colour, it's about elegance. And of course, just across the road from us, we created the RSA, created some stunning lighting on that to enhance the city and to show the RSA off in all its splendour for its architecture. So that's a warm light, so it just doesn't necessarily need to be colour. And then we started with Durham Street. That's 229 Durham Street, if anybody needs to go and see that. It goes off like a firecracker every 5 or 6 minutes because the developer actually wanted people to be attracted to the building, and how were we to do that? That's actually called tunable light that goes all the way from warm to cold, and we have a bit of fun with it. This is our next project that's actually just been approved, is the OGB in the city, which I have to say is one of my favourite buildings, and I have to say it's one of the most magnificent buildings I'm going to see lit because I think that's absolutely splendid. And apart from that, we're doing at the moment Trinity Church as well, which is right beside OGB, of course, and now we've just been approached to do the Time Ball Tower in Littleton, which is going to be equally splendid. So now I'll hand it back to David.
We'll now just quickly flick through these images. We believe this represents a really good opportunity for Ballantynes to now, particularly after the development opposite has lit up, we think it would be wonderful if the council could encourage Ballantynes to consider doing something to reintroduce their wonderful shop frontage onto Colombo Street. Not only obviously is it helpful to encourage people to look at night, but lighting up that area certainly provides further safety opportunities. Here's an example opposite where, you know, they've started lighting up, but it'd be nice to see some consistency with the other retailers that have committed to come back in the CBD. Here's an example of the Orley building on Durham Street, a stunning building during the day. Sadly, as Kevin and I have discussed, very strongly lit on the bottom of the building, but no attempt to light their fins and make it something of interest at night. So there's another opportunity. This is not a particularly good photo, but we say, as we mentioned earlier about transitional opportunities, the convention centre site, which is viewed by a number of hotels and guests that go up and look down, rather than looking at a dark, depressing mass, they could beautifully light that simply with some lighting across that whole site if they wanted to. This is your new learning centre, I believe, or library. Here's a good example where we think, with a little bit of imagination, some creative lighting could have gone into that building as the structure formed and eventually been pulled away when it was completed. This is the back end of the Crown Plaza, a beautiful opportunity to perhaps illuminate that wall, again taking away some of this darkness that is confronting many people that wander around the city. Car parking. We think it's appalling that anyone that builds a permanent car park has to provide lighting, and we say that the council should be working with Wilson's to say, and the owners, if you want car parking, please make sure it's lit, because we need to provide safety as well, and this is another area that's not helping us lift the spirit of the city. Next one, Kevin.
Now these are people that have actually made an effort within the city that I feel. They're just a few fairy lights, which I think look quite elegant, and they've put some lighting down the side of the walkway, so they've actually made an effort, which I think is fantastic. Another building being the old Mackenzie and Willis building, another example of how people have actually taken on board to light their building and make it look attractive. And then we have a walkway.
I think this is a good example of the public realm. It may not necessarily be the best example, but it's better than a lot of what we observed the other night when we went through the city. And again, we think that more effort could be made to do things like this and make it interesting. Now, to Knox Church, and to conclude this address. Lighting the Christchurch Cathedral. And there's a little bit of background. I think it's important you understand our thinking behind this. Following the devastation to Knox Church from the earthquakes, my company approached the church, Knox, with a proposal to light up their ornate ceiling for Christmas 2011. I said to them at the time that they would normally be lighting up the church, but clearly with the destruction, they couldn't do that. So they agreed, and the idea was to provide a symbol of hope for the city and to allow the church to say that we are still here, and by lighting up the ornate ceiling, they agreed this would provide a prominent symbol of warmth and a beacon of hope for the city's recovery. At the time, I had met Kevin, and I was pleased to be introduced to him through the casino, and Kevin agreed to assist. The images that you now see show exactly what was achieved, and during the time the lights were on before the church was rebuilt, many people could be observed photographing that. It was used in advertising campaigns, and it certainly exceeded all expectations. And as I say, Kevin also, who was involved with this, was recognised both locally and internationally by his profession for what that achieved and what it represented. So, following the recent decision to restore the cathedral, I approached Kevin again with my idea for exploring opportunities to have the external floodlights of the cathedral turned back on as soon as possible. After a number of visits, we confirmed that the majority of the external lights are on Council Orion light standards, with one set of floodlights within the grounds of the cathedral at the east end opposite the old Government Life building. Like Knox, the proposal, Kevin and many others that I've subsequently spoken with provided me the feedback that I was hoping to hear, and that they felt that turning on the lights of the cathedral as quickly as possible would serve as a symbolic symbol to mark the significant decision that after almost 8 years of darkness, the Christchurch Cathedral is to be restored. Furthermore, illuminating the exterior will certainly help improve the overall environment to those that visit, to those that work, and to those that operate the businesses in the square. We have yet to approach the Anglican governing body, the Synod, or the Greater Christchurch Building Trust regarding this proposal. However, although following today's address it is our intention to do so, obviously we would appreciate your support with the necessary introductions to make this happen. In summary, what are we asking for today? We hope that you will that you will support our endeavours to promote enlightening Christchurch. We hope that you will consider developing a strategy around rejuvenating lighting in the city, and furthermore that we hope that you will support our endeavours to assist in having the external floodlights of the Christchurch Cathedral turned back on as quickly as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You know, as you know, this is a 5-minute slot at the beginning of a council meeting, and I've allowed considerable leeway. But I would like to perhaps enable this conversation to continue, and I know that the chair of the Innovation and Sustainability Committee has a particular interest in various lighting matters, and I'm just wondering whether we could resolve as a council to refer this particular request to the Innovation and Sustainability Committee. I'll be happy to move that, and seconded by Tim, and if that's okay, I'll just put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not sure that we can affect the introductions that you want though. So.